Hello, my name is Bianca Elizabeth Nunez Santiago. It's a mouthful, I know. Um, I am 32 and I am an editor, also a writer. I am Hispanic and I was born here in the US, specifically Illinois, Hinsdale. What do you most love about yourself? About what are you most confident? This is a two-part question. um, what I love most about myself would definitely be my positivity. It has really helped me face so many different challenges in my life, and I am very thankful that I am a very positive person. Um, I am most confident about my creative side. Um, it's uh, it's something that I feel secure about. It's who I am as a person. It's how I can also identify myself. Um, what do you love about being Latina? Oh my goodness, everything. I love everything about being a Latina, and I really, really mean it. I love, my skin tone. I love my thick hair, bracelet ladies. Um, but aside from that, there's just something so beautiful about Hispanic culture. The music is wonderful. There's absolutely no way you can dance salsa, merengue, bachata, and not have the best night of your life. I love the food. I love the language itself is just so romantic. It's something that's so beautiful. Um, what do you think are the beauty standards of American mainstream pop culture? How do they differ from Latina beauty standards? What impact do both of these standards have on me? Um, I think if you would have asked this question a few years back, maybe the answer would have been a little bit different. I think the standards used to be completely separate from one another, but I feel like they're almost the same nowadays, only because, when you think of beauty standards, you think of, you know, there being absolutely no room for imperfections. Um, you think of, you think of the Barbie doll image, and I think that goes for both Latina beauty standards as well as American beauty standards. Um, I think back then you would have to be super thin, as an American, and have the most clear skin, and maybe even blonde hair and blue eyes. And now you see a lot of people embracing their curves more, and that's always been a Latin thing. Like, we've always embraced the hourglass shape or whatnot, and that's being embraced more now. I noticed that. I mean, as foolish as it sounds, thanks to the Kardashians, that's kind of what it's like now, and even darker skin tones, or brown skin tones like myself, it's a little bit more acceptable, whereas prior to them, maybe not so much. um, and what impact did these have on me? I mean, I feel like everyone's impacted by it in their own way. um, Back then, because I was a Latina, I always thought, like, I was ridiculously thin growing up, ridiculously thin, and I always felt like, oh, I just wish I weighed a little bit more. Maybe I should start drinking Ensures or whatever it may be. And now that I'm older, I love the fact that I have, you know, I have um I have the body that I have, and everyone else should. And you know what? One thing that is commendable is that you see a lot more inclusivity nowadays, whereas in before you wouldn't. And I feel like it's just time women embrace who they are. If they have stretch marks, if they, aren't a size 2, it's okay. It's okay to just love the skin that you're in. It took me a while, especially like in high school, but now I am a lot more confident about that. And I feel like that also happens the older you get in age. You just kind of grow out of that phase of feeling like you have to be perfect. Like, embrace who you are as a person. That's what's beautiful. Did you ever feel like you have to stifle your true self around non-Latina people? Well, growing up, I went to a school that had a very small percentage of minorities, and I was one of them. We literally had one small, like, in a room filled, in a cafeteria filled with people. There was like one small table off to the corner where the minorities would all sit, and I always thought to myself, like, why can't we just all be one? So I think being in that environment, though, did allow me to kind of break out of that thought of, being a minority, or, whatever stereotype there is that's involved with that. And it did really help me kind of branch out. And now I don't, I mean, I never did, but to this day, I still don't see color. I'm friends with every type of person that you can possibly think of. I get along with everyone, and maybe at some point, at the beginning of me going to school, to a predominantly white school, I did feel like maybe I have to fit in. But it took for me to just start embracing my true self, for me to see that people actually like you just for who you are, and there's no need to. What stereotypes, if any, did you face growing up? What stereotypes do you face now? This is a really good question. I don't know if it'll be asked later on. Okay. This is a really good question because I grew up as a Mexican American, which can be very difficult because you feel like you never quite belong. And the best way to explain this is, when you're in America, you're Mexican. And when you're in Mexico, you're American. So when you're in Mexico, people think you're rich because you're an American. Every American is filthy rich, right? Like, we all have butlers. But yeah, when I would go out there, it's, some people who didn't know me, not like direct family members, they wouldn't really take the opportunity to get to know me because they automatically think, oh, if you're from America, you're stuck up, which was awful, even to say out loud. But then there's, the perception of, when you're here in America, the perception of a lot of Hispanics and Latinos are like, well, maybe, it's the complete opposite. Like, we're poor, we've been through a lot of suffrage, and because of it, we're kind of, you know, um, just, I guess, just underprivileged, I guess, which is such a farce to me. But yeah, so I think those stereotypes is what I faced growing up from both sides. How can one be both? How can one be both Latina and American without betraying their roots? Embracing both sides, celebrating both sides. I never feel the need to act like I am one over the other. I am literally like slap dab in the middle. I am Mexican, but I am also American, and you just need to celebrate it. You need to be who you are. definitely try your best to gain knowledge of both sides. Um, and yeah, just be you, be yourself. As cliche as that sounds, just be yourself. Um, what advice or insight do you have for Latinas who are just beginning their coming of age, such as your daughters or nieces? Well, that just really truly be yourself because, as cliche as this sounds, they say everyone else is taken, and that is so true. It's, when people get to know you, they want to get to know the real you. And how else are you going to bring out your gifts, your talents into the universe unless you embrace who you are? Um, there's already people who are trying to fit the mold of what's socially acceptable. That's taken. Everyone's doing that. So be different. Just do what makes you happy. We're only on this earth for a short amount of time. Make it the best you can possibly make it. Um, and yeah, hopefully that helps. If that helps out one person in the world, then I did my job. Um, and that is it. That's a wrap. Thank you. Bye bye.